There comes a time in every life when the music changes, when the laughter that once filled the room begins to sound hollow, when the faces that once felt like home become unfamiliar. We wonder what happened, how something so beautiful could grow silent. But life, my dear, is not still. Life moves, it breathes, it expands beyond the edges of our comfort. And sometimes, in that expansion, God begins to remove people from our path. Not because we are bad, not because they are evil, but because the season between souls has come to an end. When God removes people from your life, you must learn to let them go. The hands that once held you cannot carry you into every chapter. The voices that once echoed encouragement cannot always speak to your future. And when you feel the gentle pull of distance, when conversations grow shorter, when your spirit feels uneasy around the same faces, that is not punishment, it is preparation. God will not let you stay where your growth is stunted. He will not allow you to remain tied to those who cannot see your worth. You see, we are all on a journey of becoming, and becoming requires shedding. You cannot carry everyone with you, no matter how much your heart wants to. Some souls are assignments, not lifelong partners. Some people are lessons wrapped in laughter. They enter your life to teach you love, patience, forgiveness, or self-worth. And when their lesson is done, they leave. It hurts, but it's holy. There is a sacred rhythm in release. It is not loud. It does not come with applause or ceremony. It comes quietly, in the middle of an ordinary day, when your heart realizes that clinging hurts more than letting go. It comes when your spirit whispers, "This is not your home anymore." We spend so much of our lives trying to hold on. We hold on to memories long after they've turned into ghosts. We hold on to people who no longer see us, hoping love will make them stay. We hold on to pain because we fear emptiness. But the truth is, the emptiness you feel after letting go is not absence. It is space. Space for something new. Space for peace. Space for the next blessing that cannot enter until your hands are free. When God removes people, it's never random. It's never cruel. It's divine alignment. You see, there are doors that will not open until certain people leave. There are dreams that cannot breathe in crowded rooms. Sometimes your destiny requires solitude. Sometimes your next chapter begins with goodbye. You may ask, but why, God? Why take them? Why now? And the heavens may not answer right away. But silence is not neglect, it's guidance. Because in that silence, you learn to listen not with your ears, but with your soul. You begin to realize that what you lost was never meant to sustain you forever. You begin to understand that people come and go, but purpose remains. We are creatures of attachment. We cling to what feels familiar. We confuse comfort with safety, and we confuse company with connection. But God is not interested in keeping you comfortable. He is interested in keeping you growing. And growth requires movement. Movement requires change. And change, my dear, requires letting go. When someone walks away from you, do not chase them. If they can walk away, let them. Because destiny does not require persuasion. The people who are meant for you will find their way to you. They will not need convincing to stay. They will not demand that you shrink so they can shine. The right people will stand beside you in your becoming, not fight against it. Letting go does not mean you stop loving them. Love is eternal. It changes form but never dies. It may turn from closeness to memory, from conversation to prayer, from presence to peace. But it still lives, quietly, gently, in the background of your soul. Letting go simply means you honor what was without hindering what will be. There will be nights when the absence aches. When your heart remembers the laughter, the plans, the warmth of shared dreams, you will feel tears rise uninvited, and that's all right. Cry, grieve what was. Honor your humanity. But when the morning comes, stand up again. Because grief is a bridge, not a home. You see, some losses are not punishments, they are protection. God removes what will harm you, even when you cannot see the danger. He removes what distracts you, what dims you, what delays you. Sometimes He removes people who speak love but sow confusion. Sometimes He removes those who smile at your face but resent your growth. You may call it heartbreak, but heaven calls it mercy. When you pray for elevation, understand that elevation separates. You cannot climb mountains while holding on to every hand that met you in the valley. The air gets thinner at the top. Only those trained for the climb can breathe there. If God is taking people out of your life, it's because they were not built for where you're going. And you, my dear, must stop begging people to join you on a journey they were never assigned to take. It takes courage to let go. Courage to trust what you cannot yet see. Courage to believe that loss can be a form of love. But that is what faith is, believing that the hands of God are still holding you even when you cannot feel them. Believing that every removal hides a redemption. There is no need to speak ill of those who left. Do not poison your healing with bitterness. Wish them well. Send them light. Thank them for the part they played in your story. Because even those who hurt you were teachers. They taught you strength. They taught you boundaries. They taught you discernment. The wound they caused became the wisdom you carry. When God removes people, it may not be loud. It may not be dramatic. Sometimes it's a slow fading, messages unanswered, conversations shorter, laughter quieter. Do not fight the fading. Let it be. That's how the soul says goodbye before the body catches up. And sometimes it's sudden. One moment you're together, the next they're gone. Through distance, betrayal, misunderstanding, or death. You may feel your world split open. You may think you cannot survive it. But you will. You always do. Because loss has a way of revealing what cannot be taken from you. Your strength, your faith, your inner light. The truth is, not everyone who starts with you will finish with you. And that's not a tragedy. It's the nature of growth. Trees lose leaves every season, yet they do not mourn. They stand tall, knowing that what is lost will be replaced by new life. So too must you stand tall, trusting that what falls away is making room for new fruit, new blessings, new beginnings. You must stop reopening doors God has closed. Stop sending messages to people who have already told you with their silence that their part in your story is over. Stop replaying memories like a song that no longer comforts you. Some chapters end because the story needs to move on. Do not delay your destiny by clinging to endings. Forgive those who left without explanation. Forgive yourself for trying too hard to make them stay. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It means freeing yourself from the weight of what no longer belongs. It means saying, I release you to your journey, and I bless mine to continue. Sometimes, God removes people because He heard conversations you didn't. He saw intentions you couldn't. He protected you from battles you were not built to fight. You may feel rejected, but you were redirected. Rejection is often the universe's way of saying, there's something greater ahead. There is power in peace. There is strength in stillness. When God clears your life of chaos, don't go searching for it again. Learn to enjoy your solitude. Learn to befriend silence. Learn to hear your own thoughts without the noise of distraction. Because in solitude you meet yourself. And in meeting yourself you meet God. You are not losing people, you are finding peace. You are not being abandoned, you are being aligned. You are not being left behind, you are being lifted higher. Every removal is an act of divine refinement. You are being shaped for something larger than your current vision can see. Do not rush the healing. The ache you feel is proof that you love deeply, and that is beautiful. But let the ache teach you. Let it teach you that love does not always mean possession. Let it teach you that some endings are sacred beginnings. Let it teach you that your worth is not defined by who stays but by who you become when they leave. One day, you will look back and see that the people who left made space for miracles. You will see that every goodbye pushed you closer to grace. You will thank God not only for those who entered your life, but for those who exited on time. You will realize that letting go was not loss, it was liberation. If God removes someone, it's because your destiny no longer matches their energy. The frequencies no longer align. You cannot force spiritual connection through emotional memory. Let them go in peace, without resentment, without resistance. Because peace is not found in holding on, it's found in release. Do not measure your worth by who stays. Some cannot recognize light because they are still comfortable in darkness. Some cannot celebrate you because your growth reminds them of their stagnation. Do not dim your light to be tolerated by those who fear brightness. God is calling you to shine, and shining requires separation. There is beauty in endings. We often fear them, But endings are simply the universe clearing the path for something new. The sunset may mark the close of a day, but it also promises the dawn. You cannot have resurrection without the tomb. You cannot have transformation without loss. When people leave, bless them as they go. Say thank you. Thank you for the laughter, for the lessons, for the time shared. Then turn your face toward the light and keep walking. Do not stay in the doorway between what was and what will be. Life is waiting. Purpose is calling. You will know you've healed when you can think of them and smile. When their name no longer carries pain but peace. When you can say they were part of my becoming, and for that I am grateful. That is true healing. Not forgetting, but remembering with grace. And when new people enter your life, do not guard your heart with fear. Do not let the ghosts of the past steal your joy. Every person is not a repetition, some are redemption. Love again, trust again. But this time trust with wisdom, love with boundaries, and always listen when your spirit whispers, this one is not for you. When God removes, he also replaces, not always with people, sometimes with purpose, sometimes with peace, sometimes with the version of yourself you had forgotten to love. That's the beauty of divine subtraction. It always leads to divine addition. So when people leave, do not beg, do not bargain, do not break. Stand in quiet faith and whisper, if this is God's will, I release it. Because what is meant for you will not pass you by. What is aligned with your destiny will find you even in the wilderness. And what is not meant for you will fall away no matter how tightly you grip it. Let them go, not with anger, but with understanding. Not with bitterness, but with gratitude. For every ending is a teacher. Every departure is direction. Every loss carries within it a gift waiting to be unwrapped by time. Your heart was never meant to be a cage. It was meant to be a garden, open, alive, ever-changing. People may come to plant, to water, to prune, or to bloom, but none can stay forever. Only love itself remains. So let them go. Let them walk their path while you walk yours. Trust that you will meet those meant to meet you, and part with those meant to part. Trust that every removal is God's way of saying, I'm making room for what's next. Stand tall in your becoming. Hold peace like a banner. Walk forward with grace. And when you feel that familiar ache of loss, remind yourself, this is not the end of love. This is love changing shape. Because when God removes people from your life, he is not taking from you. He is teaching you. He is protecting you. He is freeing you to rise higher, to love better, to live fuller. He is reminding you that your destiny does not depend on who walks beside you. It depends on who leads within you. So breathe, release, bless the past, and trust the future. What's meant for you will always know your name. And when you finally let go of what was, your hands will be ready to receive what will be. Let them go, my dear. Not in anger, not in sorrow, but in peace. Because the story God is writing for you is too beautiful to be held hostage by characters who were only meant for one chapter. And when you stand on the other side of loss, in the quiet of your own strength, you will smile through your tears and whisper, it was all grace. Every ending, every removal, every goodbye. Because when God removes people from your life, he's not closing the book. He's simply turning the page. When God removes people from your life, it can feel like rejection, but it's really redirection. The human heart doesn't easily accept loss. It wants answers, closure, and comfort. We often believe that when someone leaves, something must be wrong with us, that perhaps we failed or fell short. But God does not subtract without intention. When he takes away, he's guiding you toward something far greater than what you could have imagined. It may not look like it in the moment. It may hurt, it may sting, it may leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. Yet in the quiet aftermath of loss, there is always a divine whisper. Trust me, I am leading you somewhere new. Rejection is often the wrapping paper around redirection. It conceals the blessing until you're ready to open it. Sometimes the people you thought would stand beside you forever are the very ones keeping you from stepping into your destiny. Their presence may have been comforting, but it was also confining. They could not see the vision God planted in you. They could not rise to the level of your calling. So in his mercy, God allows them to leave. Not to punish you, but to clear the space for what truly aligns with your purpose. You see, every relationship is a mirror reflecting who you are and who you are becoming. Some mirrors are meant to stay with you. Others only show you what you need to see for a time. When God removes certain people, it's because their reflection no longer matches your growth. They were essential for your past, but they cannot travel with you into your future. Their season has served its purpose, and your journey now demands a new atmosphere, one free from the weight of what was. It's natural to grieve when God redirects your path. You may want to hold on to plead for one more chance, one more conversation, one more reason. But the doors that close are not mistakes. They are boundaries placed by grace. What you perceive as rejection is actually a form of protection. You may not understand it now, but one day when you stand stronger, wiser, and freer, you will look back and see how every ending led you closer to yourself. Rejection in the spiritual sense is never the end of the story. It is a signal that your spirit is outgrowing the space it once fit in. It is God's way of saying, you've learned what you needed here, now step forward. The pain of being left, overlooked, or misunderstood becomes the soil in which your strength grows. You start to realize that divine redirection is not about loss but liberation. It's about being repositioned where your gifts can flourish, where your heart can heal, and where your purpose can finally breathe without restriction. Some relationships are seasonal, and their endings are not signs of failure but symbols of evolution. Every soul that enters your life does so for a purpose. To teach, to challenge, to awaken something within you. Yet, not all are meant to stay forever. Just as seasons shift and the earth transforms, so too do human connections. Spring cannot cling to summer, and autumn cannot beg winter to remain. Each must come, do its work, and gracefully make way for the next. When a relationship fades, it's not always because love has died. Sometimes it's because growth has changed its shape. You evolve, they evolve, and the paths that once aligned begin to move in different directions. We often cling to people long after their purpose has been fulfilled. We confuse longevity with loyalty and believe that holding on is proof of love. But sometimes love requires letting go. The same person who once nurtured your spirit might now be limiting your wings. The same connection that once inspired you might now exhaust your peace. And it's in those moments that the soul begins to whisper that something has shifted. You sense the distance not just in words but in energy. You feel the quiet truth that what was once right has reached completion. Life is a tapestry woven with temporary threads. Some people are the vibrant colors that brighten a single chapter, while others form the steady foundation that carries across years. Both are sacred, both are necessary, but not all are eternal. When the season of a relationship ends, it does not mean it was meaningless. Even fleeting connections leave imprints that shape who you are becoming. The laughter, the lessons, the pain, the beauty, they all carve wisdom into your heart. Each person who leaves takes a piece of your past, but leaves behind a fragment of your growth. Recognizing that some relationships are seasonal requires maturity. It asks you to see beyond emotion and trust the divine rhythm of timing. You cannot force a winter soul to bloom in spring, nor can you ask a summer heart to survive in the cold. Some relationships simply expire because your spirit no longer fits where it once did. The conversations no longer nourish you, the goals no longer align, and the energy once shared becomes unbalanced. That is not betrayal, it is evolution. It is the soul's natural progression toward truth. When seasons change, you are not losing love, you are discovering its new form. You begin to understand that endings are not punishments but transitions. The universe does not take without giving. It clears space so you can receive what fits your current self. And as each season passes, you learn to appreciate the beauty of temporary people. Those who entered to teach you, heal you, test you, and prepare you for the next stage of your becoming. Release is a form of faith, the quiet act of trusting that what's gone has completed its assignment. It is one of the hardest lessons a soul can learn, to unclench its hands when the heart still remembers, to surrender what once felt essential, to walk away without bitterness from what no longer belongs. We are taught from a young age to fight for what we love, to prove our worth through endurance, to hold tight and never give up. But there are moments when holding on becomes a form of resistance against what God is trying to unfold. Faith is not always about persistence. Sometimes it's about release. It's about believing that the universe, in its infinite wisdom, knows what to remove as much as it knows what to give. When you release someone, you are not giving up. You are stepping aside for divine order to take its course. There is strength in letting go when every part of you wants to hold on. It takes courage to stand in the space between what was and what will be, trusting that the invisible hands of purpose are still guiding you. Release is the language of surrender, spoken softly through tears and whispered prayers. It says, I don't understand it yet, but I choose peace over control. It is the soul's declaration that faith is stronger than fear. That letting go does not mean losing, but aligning. To release with faith is to trust that endings have meaning. It is to understand that every relationship, every connection, every chapter in your life carries a divine assignment. Some people arrive to ignite your potential. Others come to teach you self-worth. Some cross your path to mirror your wounds so that you may heal them. And when their purpose has been fulfilled, life begins to shift. Conversations feel heavier, energy feels off balance. The bond starts to fade. Not out of cruelty, but completion. And in that moment, faith must rise to say, I trust the timing, even if I don't yet see the reason. It's easy to trust God when blessings arrive, but true faith is tested when He takes something away. When you pray for growth, He may answer by pruning. When you ask for peace, He may remove what disrupts it. The hand that gives can also guide in subtraction. Faith is not proven in comfort. It is refined in surrender. Releasing someone is not about erasing their memory. It is about blessing them on their journey while continuing yours. You can still love what you let go of. You can still honor what once was while choosing not to carry its weight. Releasing with faith means no longer needing closure from others to find peace within yourself. It is understanding that not everyone can explain their departure. Not every ending will make sense, and not every silence is meant to be filled. Some goodbyes are written by divine hands, not human choice. And though they leave you aching, they also leave you lighter. The soul, when freed from what has expired, begins to breathe differently. It begins to attract what aligns, to draw near what resonates, to welcome what nourishes. That is the hidden beauty of letting go. It clears the space for grace to enter. Faithful release also demands humility. It asks you to accept that you do not always know what's best for you, that sometimes the very thing you beg God to restore is the thing He's protecting you from. That sometimes unanswered prayers are acts of mercy. You may not see the reason now, but time reveals what pain conceals. Every loss you endure carries within it the seed of understanding that will bloom later. What feels like an ending now will one day be recognized as preparation. Letting go is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is choosing alignment over attachment, destiny over familiarity, purpose over comfort. It's standing before the unknown with trembling hands and saying, I trust you anyway. Faith is not loud in these moments. It is quiet, steady, unshaken. It lives in the silence between heartbreak and healing. It breathes in the space where you finally stop asking why and start whispering thank you. Release is an act of love. Love for yourself, love for the other person, love for the divine flow of life itself. It is saying, I will no longer grasp what is not mine to hold. I will not chain my heart to what God has freed me from. And though it may ache at first, the ache softens into acceptance, and acceptance unfolds into peace. Because when you finally let go with faith, you realize that nothing truly meant for you can ever be lost. It may leave for a season, it may transform in shape, but what is divinely yours will always return in the right form, at the right time, through the right hands. Divine separation often precedes divine elevation. There is a rhythm to life, a pattern that is both visible and unseen, a dance that only the soul can sense. When God begins to remove certain people from your life, it is not always for punishment, nor is it because you are undeserving. It is because your destiny is calling you higher, and some relationships cannot rise to meet you. They are anchors, subtle weights that keep you tethered to a past that has completed its lesson. Elevation requires space, and space requires release. This is a truth that is both liberating and challenging, because it asks you to trust when you cannot see, to believe when the heart is heavy, and to move forward even when the path feels uncertain. The people who leave are not always easy to let go of. Their laughter, their presence, their familiarity, it can feel impossible to release. Yet the very difficulty is the measure of your growth. Every time God removes someone from your life, He is preparing you for a level of clarity and consciousness you could not have attained while they remained. Sometimes we mistake attachment for loyalty, familiarity for love, and presence for blessing. But true elevation cannot happen when your energy is divided. Your soul cannot ascend while carrying the weight of relationships that no longer serve your highest good. Elevation is a process. It does not happen in a day, nor does it arrive with fanfare. It begins quietly, in moments when you notice that some connections feel strained, that conversations feel forced, that the joy you once shared has been replaced by unease. You may resist, you may question, you may mourn. But these are the stirrings of transformation. They are the signals that God has begun to remove what is unaligned so that your spirit can stretch, expand, and breathe in the life that is waiting for you. When you recognize this rhythm, you begin to understand that removal is not rejection. It is redirection, a gentle guiding hand toward what is true, what is essential, and what is yours by divine design. The people who leave are doing so because their energy no longer aligns with your purpose. They cannot walk beside you in the terrain God is calling you to navigate. And it is in this recognition that you find freedom. You no longer have to hold on to what is meant to be released. You no longer have to fight against what is natural. You simply allow it to happen, trusting that the elevation awaiting you is far greater than any comfort you leave behind. Divine elevation requires courage. It requires the courage to look inward and acknowledge that some relationships were beautiful in their season, but are no longer sustainable in your present or future. It requires the courage to forgive, to release, and to step into solitude without fear. For solitude is not emptiness, it is the soil in which your growth takes root. In the absence of those who are meant to leave, you discover strength you never knew existed. You find clarity, purpose, and the audacity to pursue the life that is divinely aligned with your soul's calling. There is a spiritual law at work here, one that operates whether we recognize it or not. We cannot ascend with excess baggage. The heart must be light, the mind clear, and the spirit unburdened. Every removal is an act of divine pruning, cutting away what no longer contributes to the full bloom of your potential. And as difficult as it may feel, each departure is a blessing in disguise. Each farewell is a signal that you are about to step into a space that can accommodate greater vision, deeper joy, and a higher manifestation of your purpose. Elevation does not mean that life will be free of challenge. In fact, often it means that the path becomes sharper, the demands greater, and the expectations of your own spirit higher. But these challenges are the signposts of growth, the milestones of transformation. When you walk through the moments of loss with grace, you are building resilience, wisdom, and discernment. You are learning to differentiate between what serves your higher self and what merely sustains your comfort. And in this discernment you find power. The people who are meant to remain will not need to be forced. Those who belong in your life will resonate with your journey, uplift your spirit, and align with your vision. Those who cannot rise with you will depart, not out of malice, but because their presence cannot support the elevation of your soul. This is the divine balance. As some leave, others are drawn near, and new opportunities emerge that were previously impossible in the crowded spaces of your past. The doors that open after a season of removal are wider, brighter, and more expansive than you could have imagined. In the moments of removal, it is natural to question, to feel lost, to grieve. These feelings are human, and they honor the depth of connection that once existed. But the true lesson of divine elevation is to trust the process, even when the heart is uncertain. It is to believe that every removal carries purpose, that every departure is deliberate, and that the soul's trajectory is being guided by hands far wiser than our own. As you embrace this rhythm, you begin to see that elevation is not just about achievement, success, or recognition. It is about alignment, authenticity, and freedom. It is about shedding the weight of relationships that hinder your growth and stepping fully into the life that is destined for you. And with every person who leaves, every door that closes, and every chapter that ends, you are rising closer to the fullness of who you are meant to be. You begin to understand that divine separation is not absence but preparation. It is the space in which your soul learns to trust itself, the quiet in which your spirit discovers its strength, and the pause before your life expands into the extraordinary. You start to recognize the blessings hidden within each ending, the clarity, the resilience, the deeper connection to your own purpose. You see that elevation is not given. It is earned through patience, surrender, and unwavering faith in the unseen guidance that moves your life forward. And as your vision clears, you feel a subtle shift in your heart, a whisper that tells you you are ready. Ready to walk taller, love deeper, and step into the next stage of your life with courage, grace, and certainty. The people who remain will reflect this elevation, the opportunities will match it, and your spirit, finally unburdened, will soar in a space that was prepared for you all along. Peace arrives the moment you stop chasing what God has released. There is a profound stillness that comes when we finally accept that some people, some relationships, some connections are not ours to hold. We spend so much of our lives running after approval, seeking validation, pleading for love, and trying to maintain bonds that were never intended to be permanent. We think that if we try harder, speak louder, or give more of ourselves, we can make someone stay. But the truth is, there is a sacred boundary that even the most heartfelt effort cannot cross. God sometimes removes people not to punish us, but to preserve our peace, to protect our hearts, and to create room for the life we are meant to lead. Chasing what has been released is exhausting, both to the body and to the spirit. It leaves us restless, anxious, and often resentful, carrying a weight that was never ours to bear. We replay memories, we analyze conversations, we ask ourselves what we could have done differently, but these questions often lead nowhere. They trap us in a cycle of longing and regret. True peace begins the moment we stop spinning in circles, the moment we recognize that the removal was intentional, that it was divine in nature. To chase what is no longer aligned with your path is to deny the wisdom of the universe, to resist the rhythm of life that is guiding you towards something far greater. When God removes people, He does so with purpose. Sometimes the removal is gentle, a quiet fading of presence, a distance that grows unnoticed at first. Sometimes it is sudden, a sharp departure that leaves the heart aching and confused. Both are sacred in their way. The quiet departures teach patience and discernment. The sudden departures teach resilience and surrender. In either case, peace comes when we stop fighting, when we release our grip, and when we allow life to flow in its natural order. It is in this surrender that the soul finds freedom, clarity, and the calm confidence that all things happen in the right time, for the right reasons, and in the right way. Peace is not passive. It is an active decision to stop resisting what has already been decided for you. It is choosing to let go of fear, resentment, and attachment. It is saying to the universe, I trust you with my journey, even when I cannot see the path ahead. This decision requires courage, because the human heart is naturally inclined to hold on. We mistake presence for love, loyalty for alignment, and closeness for necessity. But not everyone who crosses our path is meant to stay. Some people are assignments, lessons, or stepping stones. They are meant to teach, to challenge, to reflect, and sometimes to leave. When we understand this, the act of release transforms from loss into liberation. When you stop chasing what has been released, you begin to reclaim your power. You stop looking for validation outside yourself and start trusting the voice within. You recognize that your value is not dependent on who stays or leaves, but on the integrity with which you live, the love you carry, and the grace with which you navigate life's inevitable changes. You begin to see that God's removals are not rejections. They are refinements, removing what no longer serves your highest good, so that your spirit can rise, your heart can heal, and your purpose can unfold. The journey toward peace requires reflection. It asks us to examine our attachments, to understand why we cling, and to discern the difference between love that nourishes and love that confines. We must ask ourselves, Does this connection elevate my spirit, or does it hold me back? Does it inspire growth, or does it chain me to a past that has already passed? These questions guide us toward wisdom, teaching us to recognize the people and situations that align with our divine path and those that do not. The answers may be painful, but they are liberating. It is also essential to recognize that stopping the chase does not mean abandoning love or forgetting memories. Love, when genuine, transforms rather than disappears. It may shift in shape, turning from intimacy to memory, from closeness to gratitude, from presence to blessing. The people who leave have served their purpose, and in honoring that, we honor ourselves. We stop forcing, stop pleading, stop convincing, and instead step into a space where the soul can breathe, where joy can flow, and where life can bring new connections aligned with our growth. Peace requires patience. It does not arrive instantly. The ache of absence may linger, the questions may persist, and the heart may resist the truth at first. But over time, as we surrender, the tension eases, clarity emerges, and a sense of calm begins to permeate our being. The mind stops racing, the heart stops clutching, and the soul finds its rhythm. We learn that peace is not dependent on circumstances, but on choice. The choice to trust, to release, and to embrace life as it unfolds. To stop chasing what has been released is also to cultivate discernment. We learn to recognize energy that nourishes versus energy that drains. We begin to prioritize alignment over attachment, purpose over comfort, and self-respect over validation. The heart that once feared solitude discovers its strength, and the soul that once clung learns the power of space. In releasing what no longer belongs, we invite what is meant to enter. Opportunities, relationships, and blessings arrive that were previously blocked by our own grasping. This peace, when fully embraced, transforms not only how we relate to others, but how we relate to ourselves. We begin to understand our worth is inherent, not dependent on external approval. We see that God's removals are acts of mercy, that endings are gateways, and that surrender is a pathway to freedom. The soul that stops chasing what has been released begins to flourish in the light of its own truth, walking with confidence, grace, and a quiet certainty that everything happening in life is working toward our highest good. When peace arrives, it carries with it clarity, strength, and resilience. The heart no longer fears loss because it knows that what is divinely aligned will never be lost. The mind no longer dwells in confusion because it trusts the wisdom guiding every removal and every redirection. And the spirit, finally unburdened, begins to rise, moving forward in alignment with its purpose, ready to embrace the blessings that await in a life lived in trust, release, and faith. Every ending carries a hidden blessing waiting to unfold in silence. Life has a way of teaching us through what we cannot always see or control, and often, the most profound lessons come wrapped in loss. When someone leaves our lives, when relationships end, or when doors close without explanation, it can feel like a punishment. It can feel like the universe has turned its back on us, leaving us stranded in confusion, sorrow, and unanswered questions. Yet, the truth is that every ending is purposeful. Every removal, every goodbye, every shift in connection is designed to guide us towards something greater than we could have imagined. These moments are not empty, they are pregnant with unseen blessings, waiting for time and perspective to reveal them. We are taught from early on to fear endings, to resist change, and to hold on at all costs. We cling to people, memories, and situations because they offer comfort, even when they no longer serve our growth. We try to make permanence out of what was never meant to be permanent. Yet life, in its infinite wisdom, knows that growth requires release. The very act of letting go, as painful as it may feel, creates space for new experiences, new connections, and new opportunities. Each ending is a quiet invitation to step into the next chapter of our becoming, a chapter that would not be possible without the closure of what came before. Hidden blessings often arrive in ways we do not anticipate. The person who leaves may be the one clearing the way for a relationship that nourishes your spirit. The door that closes may be the one that opens into a space where your dreams can finally take root. The silence that follows departure may be the pause your soul needed to listen, reflect, and recalibrate. In the immediate moment, endings can feel like loss, but when viewed through the lens of divine timing, They are often the first signs of an unfolding miracle. Endings teach us patience and trust. We learn that not everything we want to understand will be revealed right away. Sometimes the blessing is hidden in the process, in the growth that occurs while we wait, while we heal, while we release. We discover strength we didn't know we had, resilience that surprises us, and wisdom that comes only from walking through discomfort with grace. Life's greatest gifts are often concealed behind the doors of endings, and only those willing to walk through the pain of release will witness the beauty waiting on the other side. When God removes people from our lives, it is not a rejection but a redirection. It is not punishment but protection. The relationships that end are often those that were limiting, draining, or misaligned with the path we are meant to travel. Their departure, though painful, preserves our energy, our peace, and our potential. It allows us to rise unencumbered by attachments that no longer serve our highest good. Each ending is a form of divine pruning, removing what cannot flourish in the soil of our future, making room for growth that is aligned, abundant, and transformative. The blessings hidden in endings are often subtle, revealed gradually over time. We may notice that the absence of someone creates space for self-discovery. We may find that a closed door leads us to opportunities we would never have imagined. We may recognize that the distance between us and a former connection was necessary to realign our hearts with those who truly resonate with our journey. These blessings are quiet, almost imperceptible at first, but with reflection, gratitude, and patience, they become unmistakably clear. Every ending also teaches the art of surrender. We learn to release control, to stop trying to force outcomes, and to trust in the flow of life. We discover that our worth is not dependent on who stays or leaves, but on how faithfully we walk our path, how authentically we love, and how gracefully we respond to the shifting tides of existence. Surrender does not mean passivity. It means aligning with the rhythm of the universe, allowing what is meant for us to arrive, and letting go of what no longer belongs. Endings offer the gift of clarity. They reveal truths about ourselves and others that were previously hidden by the illusion of permanence. We learn to discern who truly supports us, who nurtures our growth, and who aligns with our purpose. We recognize patterns that no longer serve us, and we gain the courage to set boundaries, prioritize our well-being, and honor our journey. Through these revelations, we are empowered to make choices that are conscious, intentional, and rooted in self-respect. There is also a spiritual dimension to endings. They are often orchestrated by a higher power, a force that sees beyond our immediate understanding. What feels like loss is frequently a form of divine intervention, guiding us away from what would have held us back and toward what will elevate us. Every departure is part of a greater plan, a carefully woven tapestry in which even the threads of absence contribute to the masterpiece of our lives. Trusting in this unseen guidance allows us to navigate endings with grace, knowing that they are not random but meaningful, purposeful, and necessary for our evolution. Endings cultivate resilience and fortitude. Each time we let go, we practice strength, courage, and emotional maturity. We learn that our hearts can endure separation, that our spirits can remain intact, and that our lives can continue to expand even after significant loss. With each ending, we gain confidence in our ability to navigate life's uncertainties, to adapt, and to thrive in the face of change. Ultimately, every ending carries a blessing that unfolds in silence. It teaches us, strengthens us, and prepares us for what is to come. The departure of people, the closing of doors, and the ending of chapters are not signs of failure. They are opportunities for growth, alignment, and awakening. If we are willing to release with faith, to trust in the timing of the universe, and to embrace the lessons hidden within endings, we will discover that what feels like loss is, in truth, the beginning of something profoundly transformative. The gift of endings lies in their quiet power to reshape our lives. They invite us to pause, reflect, and realign with our truest selves. They create room for new love, new opportunities, and new experiences that are in harmony with our journey. They teach us to value presence over permanence, authenticity over attachment, and divine timing over human expectation. Through endings, we learn that every conclusion, every farewell, Every departure is in service of a greater blessing, waiting to be revealed when the heart is ready to receive it.